Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Wanted to talk about some of the stuff that's going on in the world today. But before I get to that, I wanted to show you something of what many of you should be doing. I'm sure a lot of you already have. So, sorry, I got a bad knee here and it's not liking the position that I'm in. But a lot of you are already doing this and have already done it. And you might still have a little time left depending on where you're at. But I'm out here planting some more garlic, got my hands on a little bit more, and thought I better get it in the ground soon. And so this is some of our garden spot here, just a little bit of it. And you don't have to really do too much preparing to plant garlic. Garlic is super easy. You put it in the ground and you leave it alone for the winter. And then next summer, early summer, you can harvest you a bunch of garlic. So you start off with bulbs like this. They look pretty much like what you get in the grocery store, but I wouldn't advise using grocery store garlic because it could be more prone to disease. Use your seed company, your good heirloom seed company, and order some garlic from them. You buy it by the pound. And all you do with this bulb is you just break it open. And there's that little hard stem there in the middle. And I usually just kind of push against that and it just kind of cracks open with a little bit of effort. Of course, this one's going to be difficult. And then when you do that, you have, of course, the garlic cloves. You pull them apart. Do not peel them, okay? You're not going to eat it, so don't peel it. The little pointy top point, that goes up in the air, and the little flat part goes down in the ground. And that way, that's where the roots are going to come out. You want to plant these about 2 inches into the ground, and just lightly cover or tap them down, and about 6, maybe 8 inches apart. If you're planting the big elephant garlic, of course you want to go a little deeper and a little bit further apart because, well, they're just a bigger plant, so you're going to need more space. And then you want to cover it with some mulch, straw, any kind of mulch that you have, good, clean, dry mulch. And then basically you just leave it alone for the winter. And it does its stuff. And like I said, next year, early summer, you should have garlic growing. The tops will start to die off and turn brown. And you can harvest that. You need to dry it while it's still got the stalks on it. Just the whole piece. Take it and bundle it up in maybe 6 or 10 stalks per bundle. And hang it in your barn or maybe a carport somewhere. It's got some airflow and shade from the sun. And once it's dried out, it's ready to eat or store away. This is a good way to come up with food for yourself and your family. And we should all be doing everything we can to grow as much food as possible, because things aren't getting any better, folks. and there's no signs that they're going to get any better too soon. North and South Korea are still at it. They just seem to want to go to war with each other. Intelligence is showing, or at least they're saying that we have good intelligence, that North Korea is now supplying, or has been supplying, Russia for quite a while with quite a bit of artillery rounds. Iran is doing the same thing, supplying Russia. Russia and Ukraine is not getting any better. Have you noticed something? I was thinking about this earlier. Because there have been times in history where it seems like several nations are on the brink of war. But there's always someone somewhere that is trying to avert that war, trying to come to some kind of peace, trying to get the parties to come to the table and talk. Sometimes it's someone at the United Nations, maybe it's another country, sometimes it's even a religious leader. But we're not seeing that happen right now. We're not really seeing anyone stand up and say, this war, these wars have to stop and have to be averted. And I think that's a pretty bad thing. I think that says a lot. I think it says a lot that there's probably a pretty good chance that some kind of major global conflict is on its way. I don't know exactly how it will look. I mean, we can all sit here in armchairs speculate it, of who's going to fire the first shot, what's going to happen. And the fact is that in every area we look at, we see what looks to be a good portion of the world moving towards some type of global confrontation. And I think some people are scared of that. They think about it, they're terrified, and other people are completely oblivious. They live in this little bubble of a world that they've created, and they think that there's no way possible that this is going to happen, that there's just no way, that it's all gonna change, and we're not going to end up in war. Maybe they're right, but the way things are looking right now, I don't have too high hopes of that. So what we have to be doing is taking things serious and getting ready, getting out and doing this kind of stuff, planting your winter gardens, getting your gardens ready for spring, buying the seeds that you need. Hopefully you harvested some seeds this year. If you haven't, and if you weren't able to, make sure you have enough to get you through. Seeds, to me, it's just like buying food to stock up. You should have at least a 2 to 3 year supply of seeds. Certainly you want to be harvesting seeds, but we all know that that doesn't always work out as planned. So I would highly recommend you to have at least a 2 to 3 year supply of seeds that you think that you would need to get you through until you're consistently harvesting, growing enough of a garden and harvesting enough for the next year. You need to be knowing how to preserve your food. Do you know how to do that? Do you have the means to do that? Because I'm telling you, as we saw at the beginning of the pandemic, if World War III breaks out, an actual full-on kinetic conflict, because we're already, in my opinion, in World War III, if that breaks out, you're going to see things like canning jars, lids, all that kind of stuff probably dry up pretty quick. You're going to see a lot of other things sell out pretty quick. So make sure you have that stuff now. Make sure you have, just a general food supply. This whole thing with the diesel fuel and the heating fuel and the natural gas and the railroad strike possibility, and now they're talking about an airline strike possibility. Everything is just kind of going downhill really fast. And it's quite possible nothing happens. It's also quite possible that it all happens. And it could be pretty devastating. So make sure you have those things. Make sure you have your water filtration down. You want to have a water source, but you also want to have the ability to filter that water. You want to be able to protect and defend what you have. So you need to have that nailed down too. Animals. Growing a garden is great, but you need the meat too. I know some of you disagree with me, and I'm not going to argue with you on that. So having meat, chickens, turkeys, ducks, goats, sheep, cows, all kinds of stuff. Pigs for those of you that eat it, rabbits, whatever it is, you need to make sure you have that. Know how to hunt, know how to trap, know how to fish, know how to take care of yourself. I've used as an example many times before, and I think it's a pretty good one, is you need to know how to live as if you were living during the Little House on the Prairie time period. Most of you have watched that show a time or two. It doesn't mean that things are going to get that bad. What it means is that you need to know how to survive in that way, have the ability and the tools to survive in that way if things got really bad. Things may be really bad that way for a long period of time. They may only be that bad for a short period of time. But either way, you want to be able to do those things and live that way if you had to. And that's kind of the goal. One of the things that I tell people for our homestead, we look at it as an island. If we were cut off from the rest of the world, what do we need to have here on this property? And how do we need to develop this property so that we could survive? We may not have certainly everything we'd like to have, but what do we need to do to this place to survive if we were cut off from the rest of the world? Now, I don't expect that to ever happen, but if we set your goals that way, then it's quite possible you can get to a place that you can really survive, be truly self-sufficient, really truly be prepped for the things that are coming at us. It's not a good place to be. And doing something as simple as getting out here and getting dirty and playing around in the dirt might be one of the things that keeps you and your family and your community alive. For far too long, this nation and our culture has turned away from this. I understand not everyone, but far too much of it has turned away from it, to the point that so many people now have no clue of how to do any of this. It's going to come back and bite them in the backside, folks. And don't let you be one of those ones. Learn how to do it, get the right books, watch YouTube videos while they still last, whatever it is, and get out there and learn how to take care of yourself, your family, and your community. Because the stuff that's playing out on a global stage, the stuff that's playing out here in the United States between supply chains and economies and just the overall degradation of our society is not putting us in the right direction by a long shot. And it may come to a time that your only ways to survive is to either bow down and kiss the ring, the hand of the almighty globalist master, or to get out here and live like this. And I can tell you what I'm going to do. Folks, it's time to get your houses in order, to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.